Hey everybody.
Hey, welcome, welcome. How are we? It is Thursday. It is 4:30.
Woo.
So that must mean it is happy half hour.
Mhm.
And I am David Shakavich, and
I'm Sam Shukavich.
we are the co-owners of Carolina Retirement Planners here in Wilmington, North Carolina. And each week on Thursday at 4:30 for I don't know how many weeks it's been. This is number 32, right?
Oh, I think this is 33. Is this 33?
33. Time flies when you're
Oh,
out. We have
three's my
No, this is 32. 32. 32.
three's
32.
my
Okay.
lucky number. So next week is going to be a really good week.
Keep us straight. Keep us straight. You know, we have held a little get together with clients and friends and talked about something fun. And this is this week's a little episode, you know. And what are you drinking today?
About this week.
What
Man, I'm being boring this week. I'm actually doing a little bit of presenting today, so I wanted to stay sharp. So I'm sticking to my Tama tea. Keeping my antioxidants. Today it's peach pear. What are you drinking, Dad?
I am drinking just plain old iced tea. You know, it looks like whiskey, but you know, I found it's better if I don't drink too much. I got real whiskey in my future, though, my near future. Believe me.
I believe it. And what is everybody else out there enjoying on this kind of gloomy evening? I think we have rain in the unfortunately in the forecast for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, and to every life a little rain must fall, I guess.
Can I just say that we've had so much rain that I think my grass is growing mold? Is that a thing? I mean, for real, I think that's happening. I don't know.
And if you don't know, that is Amy. Amy is behind the scenes making all this work. We have Zoom feeding into Facebook, and it's the magic of the internet that makes all this happen. And it's also the magic of the internet that helps us meet people like Bill and Miranda and Martha and Rick and two Ricks. And Diane are all joined us. By the way, a couple things right now while you're thinking about it. Down below, it'll say share. And if you click on share on your Facebook and then click on watch party, it'll tell your friends about this. This is going to be a fun one. We have fairies in this one and pirates, and you're going to like it. So if you go down and do share watch party, a message will go out to your friends, and some of them may be able to join you and enjoy this as well.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is we don't know you're here unless you say hi. So if you type into the chat box hi and tell us what you're drinking and whatever, that way we can say hi and we'll know you're here as well. So that's kind of the way this magic of the internet works. So
Fernando's here. Hey, Fernando. And Charlene, you're getting a little bit ahead of us with our topic today, but Charlene's here and she is a little preamble. She made a lot of money on the sale of her GameStop stock, selling it right here at the right time this year.
Wait, don't forget to talk about what day it is today.
That's what I was about to do.
Oh,
Amy, I'm going to give you I'm going to give you the honors of telling us what day it is today.
Well, today is Fat Thursday, and it's a great big thing if you're Polish because you get to eat all the sugary sweets that you want, especially punchkis, which I love punchkis. I was not able to get out today to get one, but maybe I'll find a store with some leftovers tomorrow. But yes, happy Fat Thursday. It's better than Fat Tuesday because it's Polish-like.
So if anybody is at home and you have a sweet tooth tonight, it's Fat Thursday, so you have free reign to give in to that sweet tooth.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm more Lithuanian than Polish. I don't remember that dessert. We did eat a lot of sweets, though, you know, and kielbasi and kishka and bellinis and pierogies. And now I'm getting hungry. Dang, you know, my Polish roots, you know. Yeah. Actually, okay, this is something I don't think I've ever shared with hardly anybody, but we'll share
Oh,
it.
oh, interesting.
I was actually baptized in the Holy Ghost Polish National Catholic Church.
Oh,
Honest to God, it's it's kind of interesting in the coal regions of Pennsylvania where my parents grew up, the hard coal, eastern part. There were a lot of, it was basically immigrants were all the miners. And there were all these, churches from Ukraine and Yugoslavia, and they all had little churches in these towns. And the sad thing is the towns have kind of are dying, and, there aren't many people going anymore to the Holy Ghost Polish National Catholic Church in Shenandoah, PA. So it's kind of dying out. It's just sort of an interesting, but anyhow, little trivia there. I've also called bingo at Polish block parties in the middle of the street when they're selling, as many bellinis as fast as they can fry them. But, it goes on and on. So
I don't doubt that. I can actually picture that quite easily, Dad. I can picture you calling bingo. I've seen you call some dances and things.
yeah, that's another story. We won't get into, well, maybe another time we'll talk about my dance calling. Who else do we have joining us today?
So we have Ricky joining us and Mary, and Brent joining us all the way from cold and snowy Maine, and John and Carter. Hey, Carter, I imagine Jay's with you as well. Hey, guys. And Kim and Lynn and Jeff and Yoko and Bruce. Bruce, I miss my Viking horns too. I had a really good time with that. Need to figure out. Earlier, I was going between the Viking horns and a potato. I was trying to decide which one I wanted to be. Well, we went with the Viking, but
That potato was pretty fabulous, by the way.
maybe
Yeah,
you
that was really great.
Maybe in a future one we'll do something like that. Well, we have an interesting topic today, and most of you probably know it. But let me just kind of start and it's kind of get started here on my end and bring up the iPad. And the topic today, we have a local aspect to this topic. And the local aspect to this topic involves 4 locations here in the Wilmington area. Do you know what these 4 locations represent? Hey, they represent the 4 GameStop stores that are listed on the website as being here in Wilmington. And most of you know in the news, GameStop's been in the news. It was like all of a sudden the stock went crazy. There was a whole lot of stories behind it. And today we're going to talk and go into a little more depth and in a very entertaining depth, I hope, on what exactly these GameStop stores entail. Now,
I also want to give a quick shout out to Josie. We have a first time happy half hour attendee.
Oh, well, welcome. We got a few people who have been here all 31 times. And I know they're also available
32.
to watch 32 times. Well, this is the 32nd, right? So they have, yeah, you're right, all 32 times. So they're also available as reruns. You can go to Carolina Retirement Planners Facebook page and watch them again. And a lot of people do that. And there's actually a lot of good educational material there that done in a usually entertaining fashion. So, but anyhow, we have these games. And now GameStop stores sell what? What do they sell?
Games and gaming systems, like video.
Yeah, games, and you're usually in malls.
Boring things that take up my boyfriend's time.
Yeah, so they got, you go down, buy a little CD or a little game pack, and you can go buy the controller. But you used to have, it's kind of like, one, malls are going out of business, and 2, people are downloading all that stuff now, right? And you can buy the games, the equipment from Amazon and all. And it kind of reminds you of this store. Remember Blockbuster? I mean, it used to be you went down to Blockbuster and you picked out your movie on a Friday night, trying to find something, going up and down the aisles, finding something. There used to be 9,000 Blockbuster stores. How many stores do you think there are now?
I know the answer
Are
is
left?
I know the answer to this because I used to host trivia and it's only one, just one store.
One store left.
All right, Trivia Queen, where is that one store?
It's somewhere, I think it's, I want to say it's either Texas or like Maine or New York. I know they're two totally different places, but
I thought it was like Oregon or something.
okay, it's somewhere. Yeah, no, I don't really know. Okay, thanks. Way to call me out.
Somebody knows. Type it in the chat.
Yeah, somebody knows. Put it in the chat. Now, here's the thing. This is a story of David versus Goliath. We're going to unfold that story today, although we're going to actually use a different set of characters. Where the little guy kind of brought down the big guy. And just to give you some background, if you have a stock, historically, if you had a stock and you wanted to make money, you bought a stock, and when the stock went up, you made money. That's how that's the way it worked. You bought something, if it went up in value, you gained something. Well, it turns out that you can also make money if a stock goes down. It's buying an option or a hedge. And there's a lot of companies, particularly hedge funds, which often make money or try to predict stocks that are going down, and they're able to make money by getting them to do so. And we're going to see how in just a second. GameStop was one of those stocks that these hedge funds figured was a sure loser because, again, all the reasons. Malls are going out of business. You can buy it online. It was the next Blockbuster going from a lot to zero. And there were, by the way, like 5,000 GameStop stores in the country. I mean, it's a big number of stores. So we're going to explain this. The result of this was the graph you see here. This is the GameStop price in the last 3 months. And down here, 3 months ago, it sold for about $11 for every share. And here at the peak, it was 350. And actually inside of one of those days, it ended at like 460. Huge upswing. What caused this upswing? What David and Goliath story is behind this upswing? And that's what we're going to look at. But we need to teach you how this works. And to do that, Sam has prepared a little presentation called Peter Pan, Captain Hook, and the Short Squeeze Fairy Story. So Sam, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dad. So what we found is that many people, they're seeing this drama unfold, and they know that there's the big guy, the little guy, and they're trying to figure out who to root for, what happened, and they're just kind of confused about it. So we decided that we would try to explain this to you using, some slightly different terms, putting it in a different frame of reference. So we decided to talk about it in terms of Captain Hook and Peter Pan. So here we have Captain Hook and his gang of pirates. They're out, they love to, huh?
Yo ho ho.
Yo ho ho.
Yo.
They love to maraud. They're out there making money however they can, swindling things, and so Captain Hook, he's trying to figure out how they're going to make their next buck. And he's thinking fairies. He says, you know what? I don't think the fairies are all they're cracked up to be. Fairy dust, flying, been there, done that. I think it's going to go out of style. it's going down. I'm betting against it. The price of ferries is going down. So here's what he does. Captain Hook is going to borrow a ferry. Now it's important. He starts by borrowing a ferry, and he immediately turns around and he sells this ferry. And for this ferry, he's going to receive 3 gold coins. So here we have Captain Hook.
So he paid 3 gold coins for it, and when he sold it, he got 3 gold coins back.
No, he didn't. No, he borrowed the ferry.
He borrowed the ferry. Okay.
He borrowed the ferry, so he owes 1 ferry, and he sold the ferry, and he is in possession of 3 gold coins. So he has 3 gold coins, and he owes 1 ferry, right?
Yeah.
So he's thinking that in the future, the price of ferries are going to go down, and he's going to be able to buy a ferry for less than 3 gold coins. In fact, he thinks that he's going to be able to buy a ferry for just 1 coin. And then he's going to be able to pay off that debt. And in turn, he will have 2 coins more than where he started with. And that's what short selling is.
Nice work if you can get it.
Exactly. So short selling is where you think the price of something is going to go down. So you borrow it, sell it, thinking that you can buy it back later for less and pocket the difference.
And I bet you there's a specific date where you have to return the ferry.
Yes, yes, but oftentimes you can do it at different times. We're not going to get into that.
Okay.
That's not a part of this. Because you can do it earlier if you'd like.
Mm-hmm.
You're muddying my example.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. So that's short selling. Now, what this all would have been well and good, perhaps, but what Captain Hook didn't think about was Peter Pan. Now, Peter Pan and his Lost Boys, they're keeping an eye on Captain Hook. They don't like Captain Hook. They don't like the pirates. They're always getting in their business. They're always mucking things up for them. But one thing that Peter Pan does love is ferries. Loves ferries, hates Captain Hook. And he's saying, you know what? I don't want ferries to go down in price. I want them to stay around. I love fairy dust. I love flying. I want ferries to stay like top of mind here. So he and the Lost Boys are putting their heads together. They say, what can we do? So they decide to pool their resources together and buy as many ferries as they can. So they're buying up all the ferries that all of their gold coins can possibly afford. So here we're back to Captain Hook with his 3 gold coins that he has and owing a ferry. Now he's at the point, he's like, you know what? Let's take a look and see if I can go ahead and buy a ferry to pay my debt. Well, a ferry is not just 1 gold coin anymore. Or, it's not the 1 gold coin that he expected. It's not even 2 gold coins. A ferry doesn't even cost the 3 gold coins that he initially paid for her. A ferry now costs 5 gold coins. They're a hot commodity because Peter Pan and those Lost Boys are buying them up. It's hard to come by a good ferry these days. So now he's here, he's actually in the red. He's, it actually is going to cost him to pay his debt rather than coming out on top. And it's actually worse than that.
Worse than that?
It's worse than that, Dad.
Okay.
Because Captain Hook isn't the only one who made this bet. He's not the only one out there who borrowed ferries thinking that he could buy them back cheaper later. He's got a bunch of pirate friends, and they all borrowed ferries, all sold them for coins, all banking on the fact that later they'd be able to buy them back for cheaper. And they're all seeing the price of ferries going up, and they're sweating, and they're cashing out. These one by one, these guys, they're like, you know what? I think it's worth it for me. I'm just going to pay the 5 gold coins so I can pay my debt because I don't know how expensive ferries are going to get. And every time one of these other pirates buys one of those ferries at one of the higher prices, it makes ferries even more expensive. So between the pirates cashing out and buying the ferries and Peter Pan and the Lost Boys buying all the ferries that they can, the price of ferries is just going up and up and up and up, and it could just go to infinity. There's no roof for how high the price of ferries can go. And that is what is known as a short squeeze.
That's crazy. Can I just chime in and say that's absolutely crazy? Crazy.
And so that is in terms of, in the fairy tale terms, what essentially happened with between the hedge funds and the Redditors and GameStop.
That's a pretty good explanation there. It just
yeah, I love that. And I love Captain Hook's bling bling outfit because he's about to be a poor boy.
This is going to go down as one of our classic stories, in the happy half hour history. But let's go and look a little more at this and go a little deeper. A couple of things came together in the last few years to make this possible. Mm-hmm. One of it is the communications on the internet. This is Reddit. And inside Reddit, there's a group called Wall Street Bets. And Reddit is a social media kind of group where the common folks, the Peter Pans of the world, if you will, get together and talk about stocks.
Reddit is a bunch. It's a bunch of community forums. It's very grassroots. The people who are in the forums, police their own forums. It's very grassroots. And Wall Street Bets is just one of the forums on Reddit.
Yeah, and there's also Facebook and other places but the idea is there's a line of communications and coordination and such among people that wasn't there before. Another thing that occurred is a group of companies came up like Robinhood. Now, you may have heard of Robinhood. It's a place where you can go on and get an online brokerage account. It doesn't charge fees for trades. Now, a little later, we're going to talk about that because it's not what it appears, and there's something there that could make another happy half hour because it's pretty profound. But Robinhood's a place you can go and trade. They make it real easy to do. They even make it easy for the common folk to do options, and they want you to trade a lot because that's how they make their money. But suddenly now we got places where the little people can trade, Robinhood and others. This is sort of the leader of this pack, if you will, or was the one that kind of started the whole GameStop push or strategy. His name's Keith Gill. And he may look like, some guy slumming in his parents' basement in his 30, but he actually was working in marketing for, what company was it, Sam?
Mass Mutual.
He was a Mass Mutual marketing expert. He also has a CFA, which is Chartered Financial Analyst. That's like an advanced degree in investing. Many of the groups we use, like Sterling, are chock full of people. They're all chartered financial analysts specializing in trading. This guy knows what he's doing, in other words. He's not an amateur. He's actually a professional, and it's his hobby. And this is his basement. He's got a little kid, baby. And so at night he goes down there where it's quiet and he researches and gets on Reddit and
he's got a YouTube channel.
He's got a YouTube channel, shares tips with people. And he realized that GameStop, who he'd been following and actually thought had some potential, was being shorted. Now, here's something that I find really interesting with the way GameStop is shorted, and that is if you go out there and you look at the number of GameStop shares, there's about 70,000 shares in existence. Guess how many are shorted? Back in late December or so, there were 100,000 shares shorted. In other words, Captain Hook bought a ferry, borrowed a ferry, sold it back. Somebody else borrowed it and sold it back. And so they sold more shares than there were existence. So people owed more ferries than there were ferries. And so when this craziness, when this started going up and these guys had to go buy GameStop, buy their ferries to sell back, there was a crazy bidding war going on. And that's why it went through the roof. That's why it went through the roof. And you know, this is the other side of the coin. This is Gabe Plotkin. He is the president of Melvin Capital Management. They were one of the big people shorting it. How many billion did someone had to come in and bail them out? They would have gone out of business.
Yeah, I think they had to put in, like 2.8 billion.
Yeah, 2.8 billions they had to raise to buy the ferries that they owed because it went up so much. I mean, it bankrupted the company. So it's gonna change the face of it's gonna change the face of Wall Street and what this all means here in the future. You know, no one's quite sure what it means, but there's probably going to be bigger swings than there were before. By the way, I thought it'd be fun to have a picture of their office. So I went to their website. This is all that's on their website. There is nothing to click on, no menus. It just says Melvin Management. This firm uses bottom-up fundamental research-driven process to identify investments employing long short equity strategy. So
oh man,
I don't know whether I suspect they had more there before, but that's all.
I suspect they did too.
The other thing that's interesting is Robinhood, you may have heard, shut down their sales. It was like well known that Robinhood kind of stopped selling and people wondered why. Was Wall Street shutting this down? It turns out that Robinhood is selling their order flow. The way these companies that have no fees make money is they sell your order to someone and get income from that. And that person then marks it up and marks the stock up and sells it back to you with a complicated but really interesting system if told correctly. We may have a future happy half hour on that. It involves digging a straighter fiber optic cable between Chicago and New York, fighting to get a position closer to the exit of the stock market building where all the computers are, so you can shave a few microseconds off your trade. If you're interested in that, type in the comments. If we get enough interest, we'll put together a fun little thing. Maybe we'll bring the pirates and Robinhood back. So we're almost out of time. Let's get down to one last thought here, and that comes from Peter Pan himself when he says, all the world is made of faith and trust and pixie dust. So there we go. Today's happy half hour on GameStop and all some of the stories behind it. Now what time is it now? It's got to be time for something.
It's 4:59. Hey, Rick asked, how did Gil get so many followers to buy GameStop? Now, I've read about this in a few articles. There's a really good Wall Street Journal article about him. He legitimately started buying it in the summer of 2020, and kept buying it, and he had, between his options and the actual stock, had like $50-something thousand worth. And during his YouTube videos, he would show that people his current options and his current holdings, and people would note, oh my gosh, you have so much in GameStop. So he would have a little segment at the end that was like GSE YOLO, you only live once. And so it just kind of picked up this I don't know, I keep saying grassroots, but it kind of picked up this grassroots mentality.
And other people talked about it and it became like the thing to do. It's also sort of like the anti-Wall Street crowd. Let's stick it to the man being the hedge funds on Wall Street. And there was
Well, but it
they
was
really did, you know.
it was framed that way, but it was interesting because when Gil talks, he, you know, his whole purpose of doing everything that he did, his YouTube channel and everything, he was just trying to teach average investors about the market, you know, just everyday people about how stocks worked and how options worked, and it just kind of took off on its own. You know, the clash between pop culture and communication and okay, I see he's looking at me like, do the drawing, Sam. All right, so I have here all the names here in my cup. So if you send us an email with a question this week, and we actually added something new, didn't we, Amy? If you
Yes, we did.
if you RSVP'd to our Facebook event, which I don't know exactly how that works, but I had it on my list, so I put your name in my cup. But from now on, if you RSVP to our Facebook event, you will also get your name here in my trusty jar.
I'm just trying to make it as easy as possible for people to win some wine. That's all.
And Joe, you are right. It is the book Flash Boys that talks about that, and that we may cover if we get some demand to hear about that. So
okay, so our wine winner this week, and for those of you who might be new, I know we're rushing this because we're right at the end. Our winner of the raffle is going to win 2 bottles of wine shipped directly to your door from Fermental Bottle Shop, which is located in Ogden, a really cool family-owned local little bottle shop. And the winner of those 2 bottles of wine is our Barbara and Fernando M. So congratulations, Barbara and Fernando. I think that I saw you on, so I believe that you're watching. You are our winners this week, so congratulations.
Congratulations. And I don't think we picked a topic for next week yet, or did we?
Yes. We actually have next week. We have a couple weeks out. Next week is the 3 tax buckets and tax diversifications.
So if you, now again, this is one for people that hate taxes and want to pay less taxes. So if that's not of interest, it's probably not a good one for you, but it is a very basic, it shows you what you have to do to cut taxes and how the basic strategy. So if that's of interest, we'll see you next Thursday, 4:30 for another happy half hour. So with that, everybody have a good week. Stay hydrated.
Cheers.